Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2 is the latest installment of the Phantasy Online series. The series started on the Dreamcast. Sonic Team actually made two games for the Dreamcast, Phantasy Star Online and Phantasy Star Online version 2. But once Sega announced that they were becoming a third-party publisher, Sonic Team has decided to bring the franchise to the Gamecube. As the name implies, Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2 contains two games. Episode 1 is the original Phantasy Star Online that anybody that played the Dreamcast version should be familiar with. And Episode 2 is a brand new scenario. In addition to offering new levels and basically a couple new game features, Episode 2 will also continue the story that was begun in Phantasy Star Online 1, or Episode 1 in this game, which basically finds a team arriving on the planet of Regul to discover why an entire colony was lost. Episode 2 opens with you being asked to go down to a new area on Regul that the ship orbiting above the planet called Pioneer 2 has discovered, because they've actually received a communication from someone that they were all thought was dead. So clearly something's amiss, and you're asked to go down and investigate. Now, in terms of the actual game content, pretty much everything that you had to deal with in Episode 1 is there. It's pretty much a complete conversion of the Dreamcast game. There have been some sort of like parts of it that have been smoothed out. In some cases it kind of feels a bit like version 2 that came out for the DC, which was a little better balanced. I think you'll find, if you're familiar with the original games, playing the Gamecube Episode 1, you'll have a little bit of an easier time. The game seems to give you more useful items, and you'll be able to sort of level up at a much more user-friendly way than some of the more violent means that you had to go through in the original games. Episode 2, on the other hand, really does offer, everything in it is kind of like different. You will no longer have the sort of open strip mall outdoor area from the original PSO. You're technically in a different part of the ship called the lab, and so it's set up a little differently. It's much more sort of compact, which in a way is good, because like my personal pet peeve was always that the teleporter and the health station that would like restore you to full health was always on the complete opposite end, so you had to do a lot of walking. The way that things have been structured in the lab section of Pioneer 2, all the shops, the bank, and the health store and everything, it's right there, so you can be in and out really quickly. In addition to that, the game structure's changed a bit. You can't go straight down to the planet, which is kind of interesting. Before you're allowed to go down on the planet, the people in the lab want to make sure that you're actually good at what you do. So you have to clear two sort of like VR temples, VR Temple Alpha and VR Temple Beta, which is, it's basically new environments that you have to sort of like test your skills in and defeat bosses, which are not entirely pleasant. Once you have actually cleared the trials, you'll be able to go down to the planet and explore some new environments that are really, really cool. Graphically, the Episode 1 looks a little better than the Dreamcast version, but it hasn't been completely redone. And it seems like they were sort of working with existing assets that they sort of tailored for the Cube. The new areas in Episode 2, on the other hand, seem to be much more optimized for the Cube. So you have like that little stretch of extra eye candy that you see in places, which is really cool. Aside from new levels, Episode 2 is going to offer you 3 new characters to choose from, one for each of the classes. There'll be a new hunter called the Hucasil, a new ranger called a Remarl, and a new force which is called a Fomor. The characters are slightly tweaked a little differently than the others, so they do have a bit of individuality. Probably one of the coolest bits of new content is that over the course of playing the game, you will find a few things that you can actually download into your Game Boy Advance. The stuff that we know about right now is a new Chow, which is kind of a little virtual reality life thing that Sonic Team sort of first introduced in the original Sonic Adventure. And it's been sort of like an element in all the Sonic Adventure games that have come since, even Sonic Advance for the Game Boy Advance. And interestingly enough, what happens is you get this chow from PSO that you can upload into your GBA, and you'll have the option to either keep it in the tiny chow garden that you get with Sonic Advance, or you can actually import it into Sonic Adventure 2 Battle and sort of mess around with it in the gardens there, which is, I mean, it's nothing tremendously, amazingly new or anything, but it's kind of a cool little feature. The amazingly cool thing, actually, is that one of the things that you'll be able to do at a specific time in the game is encounter Knights, who is one of the sort of beloved Sonic Team characters that people have been pining for a long time. And if everything goes right, you will find him in the game, and you'll be able to download a mini game of Knights for the GBA, which is very cool. Some other new features of Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2 for the Gamecube are that you'll actually be able to play with up to 4 people, either online or offline. When you're offline, you'll actually be able to play with 4 people in a split screen. And probably one of the coolest things is that you can actually save that data to a memory card. And you can actually save 4 different characters onto one memory card. We've only had a chance to try it with the smaller Nintendo memory card 59, so we don't exactly know how many you can cram onto a bigger card, or even if you can. But the fact that you can have multiple characters on one card is a very nice touch. Now, when you're playing online, it's pretty much going to work the way the original PSO games did. You're going to come to a lobby, and you're going to have the ability to either make your own games at the lobby and start them, or join existing games. If you feel just really gregarious and really friendly, you can leave your game open, let anybody join that wants to. Or if you're sort of a freak about privacy, you can set up a password system and just make sure it's just you or whoever you give the password to. With the game coming over to the GameCube, Sonic Team has made sure to retain probably one of the most innovative features that the series has had, which is its translation system. The game will support 5 languages and allow stock phrases that you can use to cobble together into a sentence to be translated on the fly into whichever of the supported languages that you're writing in, which is very cool. Now, getting online will actually require a little bit more than putting out for an adapter of modem or broadband. You're actually going to have to put out a little bit of money. In order to play online with PSO Episode 1 and 2, you're going to need to pay roughly $8.95 a month. But Sega's promising that there's going to be quite a bit of downloadable content and other things that will kind of like make it worth your while. So I guess we get to see how die-hard fans are. Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2, like we said, is looking to be really promising, and it's presently slated to ship towards the end of this October for the GameCube.